Hi there, this is Michael from Ever Better Mind, where I talk about positive and practical strategies to help improve your day to day mental health because I believe every positive step you take matters. So, today I want to talk about psychologists. I have a bit of experience there. I've seen 11 in the last few years. So, I've seen a few, and I've kind of had to, like a lot of people, kind of wade through all the processes and things you have to just to get to see one. So I wanted to provide a tip and a bit of background as to something that might help you, especially if you're starting out, or importantly, if you know someone who close to you who might be starting out as well, which I think is a really important piece of support if you are going through something and don't quite know what to do. If you're in crisis, so if you're thinking about harming yourself or thinking about committing suicide, you need to see someone or talk to someone immediately, calling 000 or your emergency hotline, or otherwise calling a suicide helpline in Australia. Lifeline is an example. If you're not in crisis, but you are struggling and you're thinking of seeing a psychologist, um, it can be really hard, at least for me, where depression being a really big symptom, the hardest thing for me anyway is the fact that when I've felt depressed in the past, and when I feel depressed, I'm my least motivated, my least motivated, and you do need some motivation to I guess, start something new, to find help, and to kind of seek it out and find the right person for you. So I always found that bit really, really hard. At the time you need it the most, you're least motivated to kind of find that very help. So I'm hoping I can help a little bit of that today. And again, if you know someone who might need that help, maybe you can help them through this. Okay, so in terms of in terms of my experience, I guess when I first started out, I really didn't know what to do. I knew I needed help. To be honest, even at the time, it was hard for me to um, admit I need a psychologist for some reason. Sitting where I am, I think it almost seems like such a different me back then because I've spoken to a lot now and feel really comfortable doing so. But at the time, it felt really foreign and new, and I didn't know what to do. And I've since learned that the first step is to call your GP, in Australia, a general practitioner, your local doctor who can give you a referral to a psychologist after doing an assessment. Um, That's okay. Where do you go to from there, though? Now, I've talked to some people, and their GP recommended a psychologist, and they happen to be really good, and that's amazing for them. I'm genuinely like so pleased for people who kind of have that happy path and that smooth path for them. For those who have a GP who don't have a recommendation, or aren't are a bit wishy washy with what they're recommending, and you feel like you're starting from scratch. Yeah, I feel you. I kind of get it. And for me, it felt like a really big deal to see the GP about how I was feeling. But it was just the start. It was just the start. And um, he didn't really give me a recommendation. He kind of just said, look, call around and, book something in. That took me 3 months delay because I couldn't bring myself to call her out. Because, I think a lot of people kind of have that anxiety, I think, of having to talk to someone new on the phone. In this day and age where we're, Ubering things and getting stuff delivered via apps, it's really hard to just call someone, especially about something new that you might feel insecure about. Um, yeah, it took me ages. It just took me ages just to bring the confidence to do it. When I finally did, I went online and looked at some of the local places around, and I noticed that everyone kind of seemed to specialize in everything, and there was no real way of kind of working out who would be best for me because I didn't actually know what my challenges were yet. They weren't in neat buckets. So I kind of took a punt, and sent an email, whatever, to a local place, and they called back and they did a bit of like a screening, and it was so tough. Like I found that so brutal at the time. Like I really, really did. I was feeling so insecure in general, feeling really uncertain about this, and someone calling me about my issues on the phone, like from reception. Oh, it was so hard. So I did eventually book an appointment, but I couldn't get in for months. Like first available appointment was months away. It's pretty devastating. I think that's the experience of a lot of people out there as well, unfortunately. It can take time depending on where you are. And if you want to see someone physically, it's important, or if that's important to you, it can take time. I hope it doesn't, but it can, even if you do find the right person or you think you have. For me, it was 6 months without help. And that could be really critical for a lot of people. And so it's a real big challenge. And I hope not everyone goes through that. Others might have worse experiences. It's not great, though. That's really not a great experience. So anyway, how can we help this a little bit along? Okay, well, yes, there can be heavy wait times to get into people. That's true. But with technology, I think we can kind of reach psychologists around, Australia in my case, or around your country or larger area a little bit easier because you can have virtual sessions, right? So, I guess my advice for someone who's just starting out and finding it hard to book somewhere local, whether it's because you don't know where to start, or who to call around to, or just the wait list is so long. My advice is to jump on a portal that kind of consolidates a bunch of different psychologists in one and makes it really easy to book. Just like you can book anything, like a table at a restaurant or whatever. Just like very common. You kind of just find the date, chuck your details in, and off you go. And I think these portals being virtual, because you can see people's availability, it can really help you book something in a lot quicker than you could if you're having to call around and a receptionist is kind of screening things out. Okay, so what am I really talking about? So I've got a really good example here. It's in Australia. It's called My Mirror. I haven't used this service myself, but I do know someone who has, and they highly recommended it. And jumping on and just thinking back to my early experiences, this seems fantastic. It really, really does. Yeah, it's just such a great example of kind of using technology to make things like psychology much more accessible for people. So I'll just quickly show you. Right, so this is My Mirror. So it's My Mirror is the one I'm talking about. They've got a good little get matched with our psychologist widget, which is really handy actually. So I'm an individual, topic of interest. This can be tricky if you're really new, but I think it does help you talk to someone who is more specialized in what you want to talk about. So I don't have a preference. I like mornings. I don't want to talk on the weekends. I want to talk within 48 hours. Look at that. I want to do a 50-minute target. Great, look at that. So you can see here, it's already spat out some examples. And look, these psychologists are available from the 3rd of February. So I'm recording this on the 31st of January. So it's literally the next business day. It's a Friday. This is 2 business days, next business day. You can see there's a whole bunch here from early next week. You can get started with them. Sometimes when you just need help, you need to get it fast. And I think a portal like My Mirror, I highly recommend it. If you're in Australia, having any of those challenges we've talked about, check out My Mirror for sure. Give someone a try. I think this kind of accessibility too means that if you don't hit it off with your psychologist, which I haven't every time, you can move a lot quicker. It doesn't feel like you're starting again with a multi-month ordeal just to find someone that you mesh with. You can try them out, have a session or two, no worries, jump back in, maybe book someone else if that's something you want to do. So really recommend it. Try out My Mirror. For now, look after yourself. Have a great day.